So, back in the day, meaning when I was just a lad, Nintendo was all the rage. There was nothing better than hanging out at a friend's house during the hot summer months, sitting in the basement with some old clunker TV. You know, the ones with the old plastic turn dial that went ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk when you turned it, and playing video games when your parents expected you to be out doing stuff. Don't get me wrong, I went to the beach plenty and played basketball, but a vast majority of the time I was playing video games. If you grew up during the 80s, then chances are pretty damn good that you played the original Castlevania by Konami. It's strange when I try to analyze now, 25 years later, why we all liked the first game so much. It's not a terribly long game, 6 stages, but perhaps because there were so many memorable moments and facets about the game. Now, while I'm the first to admit that I'm a die-hard Castlevania fanatic, I've never played Part 2 Simon's Quest. I don't recall it being at the video store much, if ever, and this was a decade or more before emulators were created, so I was up a creek. I remember reading about it in Nintendo Power, but other than that, I never got a chance. So, 5 years after the original Castlevania, we get Part 3 in the original trilogy, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. Now this game I played. It became many fans' #1 in the 8-bit years, and it's still considered to be one of the greatest... It became many fans' #1 in the 8-bit years, and it's still considered to be one of the greats on the original NES, not to mention in the entire Castlevania franchise. Castlevania 3 was released in North America in 1990, the same year as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which is another classic from the era. One of the main focal points of the game is the ability to change into one of 3 playable characters that Trevor meets along his journey. The other focal point is the branching stage system, whereby at the end of certain levels, the path diverges and you must choose where you're headed next. The storyline is simplistic enough. The year is 1476, making it the first game in the chronology of the Castlevania universe. Trevor is summoned to fight the evil powers of Count Dracula. I always found the intro video to be very memorable, and watching it when I play the game now always brings back nice memories of yesteryear. I think it was a neat idea by Konami to make the intro akin to an old-fashioned movie. It completely captures the tone and mood of classic old-school Castlevania, and the NES in general too. One of the things I liked about Castlevania 3, in conjunction with its branching system, is that the map system, showing the paths you can or can't take, really increases the scale of the world in which you're traveling. It isn't like the first game where you just went from stage to stage, and you really didn't have an overview just to show how far you've come. The majority of the game takes place in the surrounding countryside and areas outside of the main castle. I think this works for the most part because there's only so many environments you can design while still keeping it in line with the interior of a building. Remember, this was several years before Symphony of the Night, which incorporates a huge amount of varied environments within the castle, and it works. On a side note, has anyone ever noticed how annoying that heart counter is at the end of each stage? It's like frickin' nails on a chalkboard. You better turn the volume down. But it being chained to 8-bit architecture, there's not much the designers could do. The graphics are very well done, with crumbling bricks, muddy forests, tons of baddies running around everywhere, and a large amount of intricate background graphics. My favorite stages are probably Clockwork and Stream, with the latter showing some pretty impressive waterfall and water graphics for the time. Although the stage itself is hard as shit. The music is one of the best NES soundtracks of all time. Do I really need to repeat myself on that one? Anyone who's played this game, is a fan of this game, played this game growing up, knows these tunes. From Clockwork Yes, you'll hear me mentioning this stage a lot during this review. To Mad Forest, Vampire Killer, Ghost Ship. It's terrific on the composition side. As mentioned before, in Castlevania 3, you have the choice to play as 3 different characters. Now, you're not given these characters from the start of the game, nor can you play as more than one at a time. Each time you meet one along your journey, you can choose to either take them with you, and you'll shake hands, make out a little, etc., or leave them behind, at which point, in the original code of the game, they tell you to fuck off in Japanese and pwn your ass. The first character you meet is Grant, which is found at the end of the Clockwork stage. He is a pirate, and somehow being a swashbuckler in the 15th century allows him to crawl on walls and ceilings like fucking Spider-Man. It's a little bit of a gimmick, but it does come in handy to reach certain candles or treasures. He also jumps higher than Trevor, but his attack doesn't do dick against enemies. Next up is Saifa Belnades, a sorceress. She is colored blue and white, which I could never figure out because wouldn't that mean she's a ghost or some kind of spirit? I'm not sure. Her bonuses are magic attacks, which are pretty powerful. Her physical attack is crap, but that's to be expected from a spellcaster. I mean, what the hell is she doing here? Is she walking down the stairs or bouncing her ass as she falls down the stairs? I don't know. Lastly, there's Alucard. Yes, that is Dracula spelled backwards. Yes, this is the same Alucard that would years later rise to stardom in the masterpiece that is Symphony of the Night. His attack is a powerball, being able to shoot 3 at an angle when fully powered up. I never really liked it. It's too hard to hit something with it, and even then, it does dick for damage. You see what I'm talking about? You sit here and you shoot and you shoot and you shoot. It takes like 850 million hits to kill anything. The attack is utterly useless compared to Simon's Whip, for the most part. Here we go again. Yep, 653,000 hits. What a pussy. Piece of shit. Alucard's one saving grace is that he can turn into a bat at the cost of decreasing hearts, which can come in handy if you just want to fly over a tough area. The bosses are pretty standard fare for a Castlevania game. One of the things that totally cracks me up though is the sound it makes when you kill a boss, like it's hilarious. Why does every boss burst into flames? Do they have insanely high blood pressure or something? Perhaps being a minion of Dracula causes lots of health problems. They don't pose much of a challenge unless you're a moron or have poor hand-eye coordination. Overall, between the characters, the music, the graphics, the gameplay, the weapons, the enemies, the music, the stages, the bosses, the music, the different paths, the fucking music! Yeah, it's one of the greats. Check it out.